G'day everyone. Thanks very much for your time today, and I will say, having the last speaker slot, we call it the graveyard shift in the industry, is always interesting. But I'm pleased everyone's here and everyone looks really engaged and awake just before those drinks roll out in 15 minutes. So I'll try and keep this short and sharp. Look, this is an exciting one. Okay, it's very, very simple. It's copper and gold, and it's in your hometown of Queensland, okay? Very, very simple story. It's called QMines. I'm the baby-faced chairman. I founded this business about 5 years ago. I come from the capital markets. I ran a resources fund for a long time, and this is a business that is moving fast. So, and I think the key takeaway I want you to get from this presentation is that we're young and dynamic. We like to move. We're highly active. We've got 3 rigs. We've got our 3rd rig moving on site at the moment. Lots of leverage here to exploration success. Still a modest market cap, $30 million. But yeah, this is one to watch. This is going to move. So. This happens every year. All right, so look, let's start with the basics. So where are we, and let's talk, who is QMines? All right, so we're, as I said, a copper and gold business. Our flagship project is called the Mt Chalmers project. It's a high-grade historic mine, and it's actually only 20 k's from Rockhampton. So normally you see mines, and I've seen thousands of them in my time. 500 k's to the nearest pub, long way. You've got to travel through, deserts and across rivers and 3 plains and whatnot to get there. This is so simple, okay? It's a flight straight from Brizzy up here. It's about an hour, 20 minutes, bitumen road to the front gate. And as I said, it's a historic mine, so lots and lots of infrastructure here, and that gives us a really low capital advantage to build the next copper and gold mid-tier company. Okay, we have actually now completed what we call a pre-feasibility study on the Mt Chalmers deposit. It's a beauty. Okay, best-in-class returns, really low capex, long tenor, mine life. But what we're doing now is we're starting to really grow out the scale here. Okay, so the last 2 years we've really focused on acquisitions in the region. We've now purchased for another $4 million what's called the Develin Creek project, which is a high-grade copper and zinc project. It's to the west there in the middle. There's 3 additional deposits there where we've been drilling about 8,000 metres over the course of the year since May. I've got some fantastic drill results to show you shortly. Everything you want to see. It's more copper and zinc rich, but great grade, shallow depth, really long width, so it's brilliant, and a lot of upside. And then we've just recently purchased the Mount Mackenzie project. Now it's more gold and silver focused, and it's a beauty. Okay, it's got two existing deposits here. I'll get into it in detail in a second. We've had a lot of interest in this project for some very big companies. We think it's got some real scale potential, so I'll get into that shortly. But just looking at that map, there is infrastructure here in spades, okay? And don't underestimate location infrastructure. As I said, it gives us this low capital advantage that really means we don't need to raise as much capital to progress this into production. We don't need to, build roads, bring power in. In fact, Gladstone's the largest port in Queensland by metals throughput. The Stanwell power stations, obviously the largest power supplier in Queensland. So we're really spoilt, being in this region. Capital structure is really simple. This is a company with leverage, very tightly held. Fantastic supporters here. We've got some really high net worth individuals. One's here today. He's flown all the way from Monaco to be here. Thank you so much. We appreciate everyone's support. But this is a company with leverage. We're well funded. We've just completed a $9 million placement and SPP, fully underwritten by one of our largest shareholders. We've got all the capital we need to really accelerate this business plan now, bring in more rigs, accelerate the news flow, and really drive this business forward fast and hard. We've got a big mining inventory already. So there's already just under 20 million tonnes of resource there. It's good grade, it's very central. We're planning a centralised plant that can service several mines in the region, but it's not going to stop here. We have more resource upgrades on the way from our Develin Creek project, from our Mt Mackenzie project. So we've got 2 more in the wings, and this is our track record. Find me a company that can push out 7 resource updates in a couple of years. We've vertically integrated this business. We own our own drilling company. We've bought the land to really de-risk the development side of this business. We are guys that move. Now, a little known unknown topic here, but just to go off track and it's nice to do something a little bit different, right? So let's not talk about our business for a second, but let's talk about copper as a sector, okay? And, if you look at the gold sector, there's about 40 producers, there's about 4 or 5 developers at any point, and there's 300-400 explorers. But you look at copper, and there's actually only 4 or 5 producers, 4 or 5 developers and probably 20 explorers. So what that tells you, from my perspective as a fund manager, is there's a lot of leverage here, okay? So when that capital moves out of gold and rare earths and comes back to copper, which is starting now, you're going to see outsized returns in this space. And the key takeaway here is there's very few companies to actually choose from. All right, so it's something to keep in mind. If you look at the comps there, Metals Acquisition Corp recently bought out, massive premium. Rex, another big premium taken over. New World was a great recent acquisition. Xanadu Mines, they're all being taken over. So there's a very small number of companies here to choose from. So I'd really encourage you to look at this copper space, because there's a lot of leverage here when the markets turn. Now, let's get into a fun topic. Okay, Mt Chalmers. This is the mainstay of the future mining operation at QMines. It's a ripping deposit, okay? It's 3/4 kilometre long. It's about 350 metres wide. We've drilled it down to about 200 metres. As I said, we're taking it down that development path at the moment. It's fantastic grade. But 2 things that I'll just leave you with this, is that I've looked at a lot of assets in my time. I've never found assets where the grade's actually at the top. So you're seeing the highest grade closest to surface. Now, why is that important? That means you're getting the best cash flows early in your mine plan. You can pay back capital and return capital to shareholders early. It's a fantastic deposit. The other key takeaway is it's actually flat lying. So it's not only close to surface and shallow, but it's flat lying. So it's not your typical steep dipping deposit where grade gets better with depth. This is going to be a really low cost open pit deposit that just generates a lot of return, and that was, came out in the PFS, which is great. So lots of upside there, other deposits, but really Mt Chalmers is a real mainstay of a future operation at QMines. All right, so Develin Creek, let's get into it. So we've spent about, we've been drilling up here since May. It's been a fantastic program. We bought this project off a great company called Zenith Minerals. We paid about $4 million in cash and shares, and it's an absolute ripper. Okay, there's 2 deposits here. We focused end of last year, drilling out what's called the Scorpion and Window deposits, which you can see down the bottom of the page. But this year we've drilled about 8 kilometres of drilling at the Sulphide City deposit. It's bigger, it's really contiguous, it's more copper and zinc rich, but again, fantastic grades, great continuity. It's really going to add to a future mining operation at Mt Chalmers, at QMines. Now, this is a bit of a section. We're coming into the end of the day. I won't get too far into it, but have a look at some of these numbers. 12 metres at 3.9% copper equivalent. 28 metres, I think I'm reading from far away, at 1.6% copper equivalent. 34 at 2.7, 16 at 2.2. This is a fantastic deposit. This will generate some really great returns for our shareholders. We'll likely mine this on a higher grade basis with a higher cutoff, and transport this down to a future plant. This will probably be our first underground mine at Mt Chalmers. So we're just starting to run the numbers over this. We've got a lot of results that are in the labs and are imminent from here. We've had 3 rigs up on this site throughout the year. So watch out. When our AGM finishes in a week and a half, you'll start to see this news really flow, and some of the first results you'll see which are imminent are from this particular project. So watch this space. All right, so let's now talk about Mt Mackenzie. I've got about 3 minutes. I actually got pushed off stage last time because I got a bit excited, so I'll try and keep it a bit sharp. But Mt Mackenzie is more gold and silver rich. All right, so I'm not a geologist, but it's what we call a high sulfidation epithermal. Okay, it's very logical. As you can see, there's a real regional focus here at QMines around the town of Rockhampton. There's two existing deposits there. There's the North Knoll and the Southwest Slopes deposits. And you can see it's only about 45 k's away from this program I was just talking about, from this group of deposits at Develin Creek. So it's very logical to grow the scale of our future or regional operation in this Rockhampton region. As you can see here, we've done a lot of work recently on the soils, historic soil anomalies, and I won't get into too much technical detail. Needless to say, there was a lot of untested, high tenor soil anomalies with some big scale in this district that have not been drilled yet. Okay, the most obvious one there you can see at the southern end of the project. It's about 400 metres long. It's a long strike. There's a big mag, structure that cruises through there as well. Very logical. I won't say too much, but watch this space. This will continue to grow. Okay, this will grow very, very quickly. Okay, it's open in all directions, and when we started looking at this asset to purchase, I'll be honest, I just couldn't believe it. I can't believe this hasn't been mined yet. When you're looking at high-grade gold and silver projects where you've seen mineralisation more or less from surface, drilled down to, in this particular case, the North Knoll deposit, drilled down to only sort of 50 to 100 metres, where it's wide open at down plunge, wide open along strike, and hasn't been followed up with these sort of grades. And, sorry, allow me to embellish a little bit here. 22 metres at 5 grams gold and 37 grams silver. 30 metres at 2 grams gold and 27 grams silver. Here's a good one. 44 metres at 3.5 grams gold and 9 grams silver. This is a fantastic deposit. As I say, I can't believe this hasn't been mined, but it is absolutely wide open. Now have a look at this one. This is what we call the Southwest Slopes. Okay, you're seeing here 100 to 150 metre type intersections that, again, ending in mineralisation at depth, open along strike, that just haven't had any modern day follow-up. So 143 metres at almost 3 grams gold and 5 grams silver. It's ending in mineralisation. So the key takeaway here, I can see I've only got a couple of seconds left. There is a lot of drilling going on here. There's a lot of activity. This is a business that is growing. This isn't a business that stopped when it got tough 2 or 3 years ago. We kept growing those resources, kept drilling, kept the news flow up. And if the past is a good guide to the future, have a look at some of these intersections. This Mt Mackenzie project where we're drilling at the moment is really going to excite. So watch this space. This is a company that's moving. I'm the founder of the business, as I said. We've got a fantastic team here. It's a Queensland-based story, copper and gold. Ticker code is QML. Thanks very much for your time. I should say a big thank you to Des and Phil and Amy before we take off. It's been a fantastic conference. We've really enjoyed it, and the participation here shows it's been a great event. So really appreciate everyone's time, and thanks for hearing the presentation.